show is called Conversation with the CEO. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Conversation with a CEO. We have a great guest today. I'm excited to have her because from what I'm told, she left the corporate world after saying no to the corporate world, and now she's doing her own thing. She's the CEO of a great company, TNT Consulting Services, which is a global provider of expertise and technology. She is very well known for not only identifying but also closing on up to $16 billion in acquisitions, integrated acquisitions. That is awesome within itself. She's got to be pretty smart. So we had to have her on the program so we can learn from this CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for none other than Theresa Anderson. Hello and welcome.
Hello there. Thank you for having me today. Thank you.
All right, I'm very excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself really quickly, and what did you used to do before you became a CEO?
Well, I did a lot. Well, I've always, some type of way, I've always been in my own business. I started doing hair, my own self, like about 14 years old. And I was running about, I was doing about 120 a day. That was big money back then. And then I always managed my own time of how much time I put into people. And then I picked up gigs here. I was like the youngest CEO, the youngest, I'm sorry, not CEO, but the youngest person showing up. I would get there and they would be like, we need something done. And I'm like, I'm here to do it. And they were like, you too young. How can you do this job? And I'm like, well, what do you need done? So I was about probably maybe 17 then. So then I got my first gig at about 17. And then, like they say, the rest is history, but it was a very defining moment because most of people in my family are entrepreneurs. Didn't know that then, but that's where I got the drive from because I never knew why I was like I was. I went to work for corporate right out of college and I found out early that was not for me, if you will. And I guess when you raised in it, you raised in knowing about the market and you know about how money move in a day, understanding Wall Street and things like that. So you kind of get another idea of what money is a tool. It's not just like most people know it. I'm going to take it and consume everything and be consumers. And we were taught to be sellers and not just consumers. And so when I learned that, I kind of took that and said, you know what? And then being raised with most entrepreneurs, and they were mostly into oil and real estate. That was kind of my family background.
Let me ask you this. Oil and real estate has always been the go-to. As things are changing, right? What's the go-to at this point that you've been noticing, especially running a business that deals in artificial intelligence and technology, and you're actually doing the analytics on a lot of things. Where are we now?
Well, of course, everything's big data. They're doing a whole lot of big data now, data analytics, anything dealing with biotech, farm, IT, basically. Information technology will always be the beast. I think for the go-to, though, you've got the way I think data science, if I had to go back to school and do anything, it will definitely be anything dealing with data, okay? Because right now, if you look at where we are, they're gathering big data. Like millions and millions of records to do what needs to be done right now in the global market that we're looking at, okay? So the whole data analytics and that market, artificial intelligence, all of that is going to circle back to IT of sports STEM. I'm a STEM girl. So that's, it all ties together. But for the market person, for me, I think investing long-term, I like diversification myself. I don't like to say stay in IT or stay in, healthcare or whatever. But I think that, of course, healthcare now is the number one.
Well, healthcare is number one. So the pandemic. So a few things that I've noticed that the pandemic has done, and in terms of your company, how did the pandemic impact you? Did it benefit you in any way? lately it's hard to find people to hire. So
Right.
you hear this complaint that companies are trying to hire, but there's not enough people wanting to work. There's some people are blaming it on the stimulus money, but I don't think that's the case. But you see, I saw another number yesterday where more people went into business in the last year, and most of them in the first quarter. So did the pandemic make some changes? Talk to me about it. What do you see?
Well, what I'm seeing, Antonio, is where people are kind of seeing where, for me, it was a calling, okay? But they were called too, but they were afraid. Fear is a debilitating force, of course. And I think that looking at the whole global situation and where the market's going, employment and things like that, I had my 17-year-old son come in and say, Mom, I'm going into business. I want mama. I mean, this is a 17-year-old junior in high school versus grown people set in their careers, got their education in place. How impactful was the pandemic? It was very impactful. But I think a lot of people have been called to their own businesses, but fear kept them debilitated to the point where they were like, I just don't, the fear of having that paycheck coming in,
Right.
because you may not get paid. You may not get paid. Did it impact my business? Of course it did. Of course it did. However, it wasn't as impactful because of the space I'm in. I'm in government, so it was not as impactful, but it was everybody felt that. But I think from a perspective of a lot of people you saw going into business, but I think for me, I see a lot of people, I'm in business, I'm a CEO, this, that, and the other, but there's no infrastructure. If you've got a strong foundation and you built that thing out, I did mine grassroots, okay? I didn't do MLMs, I didn't do, none of that. But I have did, many acquisitions, if you will now. But a lot of people fear that of the unknown, but I think this pandemic has definitely been a shutdown for people that have been out there playing around when they knew they should have already gone into business 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago.
But why do you think people ignore? Like for you accepted the call to become a CEO. Being a CEO is hard work. I mean, it's not easy. So I can understand why some people won't do it. But then when you're called to do something and you still kind of ignore it, like why is that? Why do people knowingly not go into business
Well, you got to
when
be a
they
risk
should?
taker. You gotta be a risk taker. And stop, you can't just get out there and say, oh, this is gonna be safe, it's gonna never go down. Stock is cynical. I mean, it's just up and down. You gotta figure out what's the cycle, what's going on and all of that. But I think it's ultimately the risk. I can't risk it all for, maybe this may work or maybe it may not. And if it don't, what am I going to have to fall back on? I never look at my friends that know me, that grew up with me and things like that. They always said, well, you were always different. You run out and do stuff. We'd be like, what in the world? And then you'd be over there banging. We're like, well, she's like that, but it's it's a risk. And a lot of people fear what's over there. If the boat is out there and no paddle, how am I going to get this boat back there? So you got to kind of think from it's a different mindset. I'll say that. It's definitely a different mindset, but it's a lot of faith, and also believing yourself. Okay. You got to believe in you.
Now, some of the hardest things to do is get in business with the government. So how were you able to do such a great job? I mean, you're even a SBA certified woman-owned small business. I don't know if you're small now, if you getting billions and billions of dollars in acquisitions, but hey, let's go with it.
Well, it's a lot of strategy. That's strategy right there. You can't be an iota of one person. There's no thing as one person out here doing nothing. Okay, it's all about teams. It's all about partnering. I did a lot of partners. I have a lot of partners. I still do this day. Had a great mentor. I'll have to say that, and they have since, of course, they got acquired by Lockheed, and they it was an undisclosed amount of money that they did the whole deal. So they were already moving and shaking, and they were small also in the space, but in size, but they were big in numbers, if you will. But they did a really you got to get somebody that's willing to show you the ropes through wherever you are willing, like you're coaching folks on stock. So you got to get someone willing to do it. Me, I didn't ask, I told, and I took something to the table. And of course, you never go to the table empty-handed. I mean, I really feel like people don't understand that. You can't come empty-handed with no one. And I think if you bring a lot to the table, you are the table.
Got to bring it to the table. So that's what it's all about. But think about this though. When you're trying to do business and you have an idea, a lot of times we keep it to ourselves and we don't want to share. We don't want anyone to steal it. That's kind of this big thing amongst, and so we try to do it alone, and then we find out we get to a point where you can't go any further because you don't have a team to push you through. Sure. So how do we get out of that mind state?
Whew, Antonio, that's going to be about that person trusting too. It's about trust, because if you don't trust nobody but you're part of the plan in the process, but the process is not about you either. It's about what you got to give to the community, because business is not about, it's about money, but it's all about building. It's about community and services. It's about servant leadership, if you will, because so many people think, I got an idea, but if I share it, like you just said, but it's not really about them. It's about something that's been given to you by God, basically, in your prayer time, that God drops something down in you, just do. Like Gates, whoever thought Microsoft? I remember the day my family remembered when it went public. If you own it and we own it, you okay right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Okay right now.
You're doing really good.
Everybody was like, who is this dude? Who is this guy here? And of course, I'm like running around peeping, like, I don't know him either. But if you look at that and look at now, contrast that with Zuckerberg out here with Facebook, and I'm just dropping out here like that because I want to contrast that with, they didn't know either, Yeah. But you got to know that I'm gonna put it out here. They say if you build it, they'll come. Isn't that what they say? That's what
one of my biggest concerns, getting into the stock market and talking about stocks and that kind of thing, there are not a lot of publicly owned African American companies. It's probably less than 20.
True.
And it's so much easier to run a business when you can use someone else's money, and they allow you to, and the banks takes those shots with those type of companies like AMC right now. They were shut down all last year. They raised $1 billion. They raised $1 billion to make money. The same thing with the cruise lines. They raised enough money where if they didn't actually take a cruise for over a year, they were still sitting in a great place. So understanding that, why don't we see that as African Americans sometimes? Because that concerns me.
Well, because we've never been taught, okay? Mm-hmm. We've never been taught. It's really going back to slavery, okay? We've always been used to people owning us. And I don't want to do this and say this in the wrong way.
Okay.
Politically correct speaking here. But a lot of times people so used to people telling them what to do, especially as it pertains to finances and being free in that area of finance. And I think that if we don't have enough, again, confidence in ourselves. Are you hearing me? I think you can hear me.
I can hear you.
If you don't have enough confidence in yourself, but knowing how to really, for me, I knew how to do it. Mm-hmm. But everybody and there are not enough African-American companies out there on the market. I don't know if it's any. Maybe
there are a few.
10%, maybe a 10%. It's a low percentage, especially on the S&P. S&P, that's the elite. So you're not gonna get big board maybe, but the S&P is just, that's your elite.
You got to start small, right? I mean,
you do.
My grandmother used to tell me this, and her name's Theresa as well. But my grandmother said that a big business is just an extremely successful small business. So it's like, at some point you got to be small. Maybe you're not on S&P yet, but you got to start somewhere. Maybe you are on OTC today, but maybe next week you're on NASDAQ, and week
Right.
after that you're on, you know, S&P 500. That, you know, I mean, Elon Musk, you see how he climbed that ladder.
Crazy. He's crazy, but he's awesome. He's the most brilliant. I think he's the most brilliant out there right now. But I think that, like you have Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he said that he still runs Amazon like he did when it was storefront. I mean, just in a garage. He's just, I think it's all about knowing how to do it and continue to keep that small business. Because I remember when IBM got into that time where, you know, they were in a mess, and they had to get Lou to come back and get them out of the big mess, and they had to learn how to dance with the small businesses out there. And I think that mindset, staying there, is not to be that, but to know how to move and grow as well. Because if we never grow, you should be growing your business. If it's really called to be out here, you should be going either in size, in revenue, or something. Because it doesn't take a lot of people to run a $1 billion company. Let me just be clear on that. You can run a $1 billion company with very few people. It doesn't take that many people. What you want to drive is a understanding strategy of how to make different vertical moves out there in that space that you're in, based on your business model. Okay.
All right. Okay. At least you've been dropping some nuggets here today for us. You're watching President and CEO of T&T Consulting Services, Theresa Anderson, and we're just having her as a guest on the program here today to, you know, do what we love to do, learn from a CEO. Now, I always ask this question: young people who want to be CEOs, what would you suggest to them right now?
Well, I'm raising one right now.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I just I'm already teaching him about the stock market. I'm teaching him about the large caps. And I'm also teaching him how you can be small and still be a big player. Okay. Learning about, because school is not going to teach you everything, even college. Okay. But partnering with people, getting with people that know more about something than you. I've always been an advocate of that. Just if I'm the smartest one in the room, I'm in the wrong room, that kind of thing. So just making sure that you're the fourth of who you hang with is definitely a rule too. Because if they're going where you're going or want to be, I always strive to follow people they're where I want to be. So, and I always kept that type of a network, not just getting with anybody, just to be around them, but try to make sure that my people that I do mentor, because I do mentor people myself, understanding that you need to follow, this is a path, okay? And everybody have one, but follow a path that's really in alignment with your calling and your purpose, because they're the same, but they're different. Your call and your purpose, but staying according to Jeremiah 29:11. And I really stress that with people, because a lot of people take that out of content. Well, you know, I'm on my destiny. I'm on, you know, well, we all do have a destiny, but it needs to be organized a bit to make it make sense, so that when you finish and come full circle, you'll land where you need to land, if that makes any sense.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. Now, we hadn't really talked about T&T Consulting like services like I want. What do people who want to work with you and use your company, what can you help them with? Talk to me about that.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. That's good.
Oh, absolutely. We want to know.
Basically, any type of consulting, large cap, small cap, one-on-one, you can be a micro or you can be Fortune 5, doesn't matter. Anything from information technology, strategic management to program management. That's the business model that we use. So any areas of IT, information technology, data analytics, artificial intelligence, strategic management, that's really our sweet spot right there. Plus strategic planning. You got companies out here now, they got a model in place and they need to modernize. So now they're taking their old models out and rebuilding and replacing it with the artificial intelligence. And things like that to make it more digital, because we've entered a digital market. This is what it's doing, and it's going to stay that way. We're not going back. We're going to go forward in that.
So the changes made by the pandemic, they're here to stay.
Oh, it's a reset. It's definitely a reset. It's not going to go back. And a lot of people haven't gotten that in their brain, that this is not going to go back to what you did when y'all all left the office. That was then. This is now. And you better be ready, because it's a whole different climate out here. It's not going to be where you left, that mainframe and, the antiquated, just systems that didn't do what they are going to be needing to be done. They're going to have to retool and get new skills. I hope that people can, based on where especially IT is very, very very, very savvy. And if you kind of worked out your skills and not really, kept up, if you will, you're going to be behind. And it's not meant to let people, get people behind, but I think people just got relaxed. And now everything's shut down. The reset has happened. Now we want to keep looking back. It's not going to go, nothing's back there. You got to move forward now. Yeah. Wow. But anyway, I hope that, does that answer the question of what we do? We do consulting. We're a management consulting firm. We provide. I
guess in layman's term, I got a business and I want to talk to Theresa about helping my business. I should contact you only if I'm about to do what?
If you're about to figure out, from people I've helped people where they didn't even know what they were going to do, and help them take their business from zero to where it is today, millions of dollars. Wow. So it's not like it's about me either. So I'm here to help as well. Okay. So from that planning perspective, because I don't believe in business plans per se, because they change rapidly. By the time you start it and, get it in place, it's time to change it and modify it. So I've helped people also, not just about me, but when I go out to a client, and if it's me and my team, we may do it depends on the program study. It could be all types of, you name it. And now a lot is coming in on the whole pandemic thing, what's going on out here in the pandemic.
All right. I love to ask this question before I let anybody go. And it's when it comes to some stocks that you would personally be investing in for the next 5 years or so, what companies are you looking at? Any particular companies that you think are going to be around, going to be doing some major things?
Well, of course, Tesla. We know that.
Yeah.
And these are, and I'll just kind of give you an order, because I do like OTCs as well. I like penny stocks as well, but they're so volatile too. But Tesla, I think, is going to be around for a long time, because Elon Musk is the real deal.
Okay.
These are just a few of my faves.
That's your. Hey, she's not a financial advisor. These are her personal thoughts about it. So we want to make sure to announce that. Go for it.
And of course, Amazon. Amazon is
okay. So Amazon definitely gonna still be hanging out, doing their thing.
A safe place, if you will. But they're becoming one piece. One size fit all. Amazon do everything. And then I'd say, from a stock perspective, from a bio perspective, newbies, Moderna and Pfizer too. They're not to be looked upon, any other way. I think they're out. Okay. Moderna is fairly new too. They're not an old company. Pfizer is very old company, of course. Okay. And then of course on the IT side, you've got I hate to say this sometime, but anyway, I don't like to get into too much of this.
Okay, I understand.
But I think from an IT side, of course, you got IBM doing some new things now as well. Yeah. They're out there doing some new things. AT&T, Verizon, those kinds of companies.
Okay. Cool. So, all right. Sounds good.
And my latest is Segi. I like Segi too. Segi is.
You like Segi?
I'm waiting to see Segi do something. I don't know what they're gonna do. I hope it moves quickly. What about you? Give me some tips. I don't know.
Give you some tips.
Yeah. What's going on?
There's a company that I love right now, and I'm just kind of looking at it. It's it's a battery company and they do recycle batteries because I mean, if they're going to be switching over to EV, that's going to be a demand for that battery and that electricity. That energy got to come from somewhere. Somebody got to be able to recycle that energy. And I've got a company, American Battery. I like them a lot, but it's a lot of that I think we need to be thinking about, because that's definitely going to be a sore spot if we don't deal with that. It'd be like you make all these new cars running off energy, then you don't have any batteries to run them.
True.
That's going to be a problem if we don't jump on that, make sure. So I
What do you
see a
think about
demand.
fossil fuels, and what do you think about the what are they trying to do? Eat fossil fuels and
what do I think about that?
We were talking about this the other day about the clean. Oh God, what was it? Energy.
Clean energy.
Yeah, clean energy.
Yeah, I mean, people. It's something that you obviously got to deal with. We got to deal with that issue. How is the part I'm waiting on? You know what I mean? I want to see which company's going to step up and be that company. I'm one that likes, even if I believe in a company, I want to make sure that company is stepping up and it's being identified by all the important players. Once the important players do start identifying that company, then I start to focus on it a little bit more. For me, it's like I might know some changes are going to happen, and I might identify a few companies that are fitting that change, but I want to see which one steps up, which one becomes the player in that game. Just like Tesla was ahead of the game, but there were other companies as well, but Tesla started stepping up and other people started identifying Tesla. And that's the key to me. It's like Tesla is way ahead of the game still. And there are a lot of other companies out there, but at this point, you still got to look at Tesla. There's no other company you can look at in terms of what I'm saying from an investment standpoint, or some company you want to put your money in. Like if a company gets a contract.
Tell me about safe trading. What is that? Your version of safe trading for investments, for stocks, for all of them?
Oh, look at you. Interview me then. I think
safe trading.
My definition of safe trading is trading your pain points. Trading your pain points. That's to me, that's what safe trading is. My grandmother, my grandfather, people that I admire, mentors, always say, go get a job, be at a job for 30 years. Listen, if you can be at a job for 30 years and trust it, then you can trust a stock for 30 years. That's the way I look at it. I mean, because most companies are publicly traded. There are very few that aren't. And the ones that aren't publicly traded, their biggest checks are coming from publicly traded companies. So you think about the NFL, they're a private company, but their biggest checks come from the TV networks. Those are the billion-dollar buyers, and they're publicly traded. So if the TV networks aren't doing well on the market, then the NFL is going to get dumped anyway. So at the end of the day, Wall Street impacts you. So as far as I'm concerned, just being safe is understanding what area matters. If you love sports, right, and you follow it to a T and you know it better than anybody, you're going to find companies that impact sports that are publicly traded, and you're going to be better at understanding what they actually do. My daughter turned me on to Roblox. I didn't know anything about that, but Roblox is going to be a great company. But my daughter turned me on to that, right? Because she plays it, she watches it, she knows the guys that watch it and play it on TV, and she's into that. And I'm like, I used to watch Bugs Bunny. Right? Well, where's Bugs Bunny? You're watching this guy you never met in your life play a game, and she loves it. She's like, oh, daddy, come watch this. I'm like, wow. So I started doing research on Roblox and come to find out this was the real deal. So, it's know your pain points. I got kids. I love my kids. I'm with them a lot. So I understand the TikToks and the Instagrams and where that goes and the impact of that and how young people are making money, more money than some of us who've been around for years,
What do you think about NFT? What is it, NFTs? What do you think about NFTs? Where do you think
it's here to stay? It's here to stay. It's just like anything else. It's like websites, right? The .com bubble. I mean, some companies made it and some didn't, right? Amazon.com works, right?
Yeah, really.
Some NFT is going to work. The question will be, will you know which one it is? NFT ain't going nowhere. It's around. Who's going to understand it the best way to grow it in a way that will benefit them in such a way that they become the dominant person in the market? Somebody, the cream always rise to the top.
So do you only work stocks, or you do investing outside of stocks, or are you just more on the stock side? You trade
I'm
stocks.
a,
Is that what?
hey, my sweetheart is a real estate agent. So, I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
at the end of the day, I'm open to it all. I'm just trying to grow and be better. But I did, this is my pain point. My pain point is I understand how to follow the market, but that comes from having done radio all those years. So I
Mm,
did radio and I was a news reporter in radio. So I always understood news's impact on the economy. Well,
mm,
once I started looking at stocks and started paying attention to stocks, I said, wait a minute, this is what I learned in news and journalism. It impacts, I see the relationship. So it's easy
mm.
for me to kind of see something a lot quicker than other people in terms of, you know, how to benefit from that. So that's just been good for me. That's my pain point.
Wow. Well, that explains that, doesn't it? I mean, that gives me an idea of safe trading, because I'm like, it's volatile out here. We need you.
Yeah, yeah,
You should be
exactly.
doing like
Right,
overwhelmed by now.
right. It's volatile, but if you understand what's going on, like a lot of people sold off when the pandemic came. I mean, and stuff was, but that stuff was on sale.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. If you walk into a store and you saw, what do you love to like? What do you love? Like, what's something you love and it's super expensive? Just tell me what that is.
Oh my God, I got so many, but I don't indulge in it.
Yeah, name one. Just
uh,
name one thing. It's super expensive. You love it though, but it's super expensive.
I don't know. I mean, like homes and
Okay, so let's say a
I like
home.
nice homes and luxury
Okay,
homes and things
right.
like
So
that. With
you saw
it
this.
has to be an asset. It has to be an asset tied to it. So I don't get on
I
if it's
got you.
not an
So
asset tied to it. But I do like shoes. I do love shoes. Every
well,
woman do.
let's use the home. The home is fine.
But
So
yeah,
there's this big luxury home that you love, maybe down the street from you. You live in Atlanta, right? So let's say you
yeah.
found this big and you saw it and the home was $2.5 million. Let's just say that's what it cost, right? And you saw it and you went in and you liked it and it's $2.5 million, right? And then you went down there the next day and come to find out that the guy who owned it, him and his wife fell out the following day and they hate each other. And he just like, despite her, he decided to sell the home for $1.2 million. If you
Really?
found that out, would you go, I'm not buying that? Or would you go, I'll wait till it's actually 2 million. I'm not going, that's something wrong with that. That's a sale. That's a discount. So when something hits the bottom like that, if you understand the value of that home, now only if you understand the value of that home. Now, if it has mold or something in it and you know about that, it doesn't matter. But if you know that the house is a great house and all of a sudden it's 1.2 million because the husband and the wife fell out, that's the first thing you do is run and buy it.
Right.
I think you would anyway. Stock market to me works the same way, so long as you're doing your due diligence. You can't just buy stuff out the blue. Know these companies, know your expertise. You hang around kids, you know everything kids do.
True.
If you hang around doctors and lawyers, you know what legal. If you hang around real estate agents, you know that what they use, you know what matters to them, and you know what companies impact them the most. Right? That's the way I look at it.
I've seen that happen in neighborhoods though. I
Yeah.
mean, like divorce happened and the house, they paid $1 million for it, but now they want to sell it for 2 million. And guess what? They got it sold for 2 million. Who made the money? Who made the money? Well, actually they made the money because it's a seller's market right now, of course.
Absolutely.
And it's I think you really got to know the value of, for me, when I look at real estate, you're in real estate, so you know where I'm going, right? I look at everything in real estate. You might can coach me in real estate.
Listen, I'm gonna stay in my lane. That's my sweetheart. She the one that I do this. Listen. I tell people all the time I'm a dummy. I think being a dummy has made me be able to be
Yeah.
somewhat successful because I really don't feel like I know anything, but I just follow what I understood just in regular life. I never got beat up in a school. I went to a school where it was dangerous, but I never really got beat up because I just understood what to do. And I think it's just simple. It's just being simple. Sometimes keeping things simple, not trying to complicate. Listen, that guy, he beats that guy up. He always sees him over there, and it's because he talks too much. So when I'm over there, I won't talk. I'll make sure I avoid that area. It's just certain things that I'm just going to do. And it's the same way with this. I gotta survive, right? The pandemic hit my household just like it hit anybody else. But I'm gonna tell you something. I was doing what I've always been doing. I was surviving. I'm always surviving, and I'm always trying to stay ahead of things because I don't want to be in business. And employees, I got employees, and they counting on me, and I can't let them down. I can't let my household down. So I do whatever I need to do. I figure out whatever I need to figure out. And at the end of the day, if I fail at it, I'm gonna get back up and I'm gonna try it again. That's it.
That's the bottom line, right? Getting back up. That part. I don't think people realize how to get back up part.
Hey, I'm gonna get back up. I don't give a care. I'm one of them guys. I'm crawling and bleeding. I'm like, because I've learned the hard way. God always comes through. He does.
He does. No matter what.
No matter what.
Everybody versus Wall Street. Where'd you get that from? That's a good tag right there. That's a good one.
That's my brand.
I like that.
It's like the Super Bowl of life to me. It's everybody versus Wall Street. It's the biggest game on the map. And you either being the predator or the prey.
Yeah.
Right? Because companies want you to consume because that helps their profit. So they're in meetings right now trying to come up with a way to get you to spend more money. That means you're being preyed upon.
Yeah.
And if you become a consumer, you're a consumer. You're in the game, whether you say it or not. You're everybody versus Wall Street. It's real. I just choose to make sure that I'm on both sides. I'm gonna consume, but I'm gonna also find some consumers.
Right.
So I'm in the game. I'm in the game. Everybody versus Wall Street. I'm in the game.
Got it. That's cool. I like that.
Well, I appreciate give me one. Get one of these t-shirts. I got a special edition. I got a special edition where for Mother's Day, where it's got Moms versus Wall Street, limited time. So as long as Mother's Day, you can pick it up. It's right online. So love for you to get it.
Yeah, I'll definitely take a look.
All right. Well, hey, Theresa, you have been an amazing guest. This was, I knew it would be awesome. I love CEOs. You all have a way of thinking, and that's what this program is about. So we can get a chance to hear how you think, learn from you, and grow from it.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you allowing me this time to come on and share, because I think there's a lot to know in the space of in a C-suite from this level of what I call not just in a room of I got a title, but what am I doing? Because at the end of the day, you should have, your accomplishments as a CEO should be beyond that corner office, if you will, because there's so much to do, like you're doing right now, is teaching people how to grow and educate them, because so many people they got it in them, but they fear of, will I be successful? Because some people, they fear not succeed too, because if I'm going to go do it, everybody's CEO or everybody's some, but do you have the grit to walk it out? That's the key, because when it get kind of shaky, will you still stand in it and stay where you were planted, or you'll root that up and go and repot that plant somewhere else where it may not grow there, where it was, even if it was rough over on the other side, still you got to stand and you got to figure that out. That's the real thrust of a CEO to me. Stay where you planted, and if anything turn brown, prune it off, keep it moving, and it will become a tree again one day. You just got to keep it moving and stay at it, and not be all over the place. That we don't know what you're doing and why. What is your why to what you're doing? So yeah.
I love it. Hey, how can people reach you if they want to get in contact with you?
Okay, yeah, sure. I am on most of the platforms of social media. Of course, Theresa and so on Twitter, and then on Instagram, Theresa Anderson _CEO. And oh gosh, I'm all over the place. So then
All right, we'll put a link in. We'll put a link up here so that you can,
yeah,
so people can
so
just
I'm
see it.
all over. Yeah.
All right, Theresa, thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate you for your time. And that wraps us up today for another edition of Conversation with the CEO. Join us next week, as we'll hopefully have another wonderful, awesome guest so we can learn some more. We can continue to grow. It's all about growth here, because when you stop growing, you're obviously going to be dying, and we don't want to do that. Thanks.